What's up, friends and mortgage professionals? Wow, what a year. I mean, just diving head first into half of 2022, and already we're seeing one of the craziest years we've ever seen in mortgages in my 19 years for sure. Back to the crisis we all went through in 2006 and 8 and all that fun stuff. But today is a special, fun, weird thing we're doing. For those of you that are tuning in, thank you. It's fun to see you all. We do our best to host what we call a Modern Lending Mastermind internally at loanDepot every single month, talking about things from like how do we set up cameras to how do we do podcasts, to how do we get on social, to how do we figure out videos. And we figured, why not just do it publicly this month? Why don't we bring on four of our best that we are collaborating with? We'll introduce our panel in a second and just have a live conversation with all of you. I think we all need it. I think we all need a little bit of positivity. I think we all need a little bit of collaboration. And I think we need to kind of get our minds together on how we can grow our businesses in this tough market together. Anthony Shea put out a hashtag a long time ago that said better together. And this industry is hard enough. And so I'm looking forward to having a conversation with all you all public today. Please use the chat, ask questions. There's some amazing mortgage professionals. What's up, Mark? Good to see you, bud. And so we're going to kick it off. Thanks for joining us today. Let's rock and roll. All right, welcome everybody. So our first guest is Jessica Celia. I'm going to bring Jessica in. We're going to have a fun conversation. And before we start, hi Jessica, good to see you.
Hello, how are you?
So for those of you that don't know Jessica, she's an absolute rock star. Last year she closed 260 units. But today, for those of you joining us, we're really talking about how do we grow our business in addition to what we get from our amazing real estate partners. How do we get out into our local communities, leveraging digital and physical local stuff to get with our communities to drive business. So Jessica, thanks for hanging. We got 140 people, so it's pretty rad. And John already jumped in. Yeah, when do we not get curveballs in mortgage? That's our world. So Jessica, a lot of your business comes outside of your real estate partnerships, outside of that stuff. Give us a second and just talk about how you started on that journey to find business outside of real estate professionals and what did it look like in the beginning for you?
So I think I'm the newest one on this call today, actually. I got out of this business. I was in it years ago, and then I got out for 10 years. And I've only been back doing this again for 5 years now, full time. And I remember getting back in, and I was super excited. And I was like, yes, let's go for it. And I was like, what do I do? And everyone's like, call realtors, do this, do that. So I listened to what everyone said. And then I realized I was calling realtors, and nobody wanted to work with me because I'm brand new. By the way, good reason for that. I don't blame them one bit, but I was calling them, asking for things and having nothing to really offer. Yes, I knew that I was good at what I did because I really like to work hard. I dive into guidelines. I want to do all the things. I want to do my job well, but they didn't know that. And how should they? So I realized, build it and they will come. So in order to build my referral partners and build my business, I'm like, I actually need to have referrals to hand out before I can have some to gain, because to prove myself to somebody, if I give them a client, that's my client. Now I'm going to prove to you how well I can do. But I also wanted to do it in a way that I enjoyed it, because calling 100 realtors a day and having them all say no to me at the end of the day didn't feel good. So I realized, I was like, this isn't fun for me. I need to really enjoy what I'm doing. Why not build on stuff that I love? So I was part of a little women's group, and
well, hold on. Don't dive too quickly. Part of a little women's group. Like, what does this mean? What were you engaged in? Get specific for somebody.
Well, it was actually part of a mom's group online that just was there where people were asking questions. This mom's group was asking questions about all kinds of things, but you would hear at least 10 women a day asking about different businesses, how to make money, how to do all these things, talking about finances. And I remember the owner of this group, which is no longer, this group isn't running anymore, said, we're here to support all aspects of women, just not financially. And to me, like my mind was blown. I was like, no, that is not okay, because financially, if you're not secure in any other avenue of your business. Also, this group was a group of women that I loved and adored and wanted to help. So I said, hey, let's go jump off. Let's create another group, by the way, with permission of the admins, a networking group where we can build and support each other and talk about how to financially support each other as well. So we did. And
this is a Facebook group. This is a Facebook group?
Just a Facebook group, which I easily get at least 20 leads a month from, easily. And I'm closing probably 25% of that. And I mean, you know, in this industry, if you're closing 25% of any leads that you're getting, that's substantial. So we created our separate group where we could go and have a secure space for women. We have now grown to well over 5,000 members online.
Okay. Hold on. How are you inviting and finding women to come into this place? Because that sounds amazing. I can see a loan officer being like, I should start a Facebook group. So like, but what's the basics of this? Like, I know not how to start one, but how did people find it? How do you show people this?
So by all means, start one. I love that. This is all about supporting other people. It truly stemmed from just me. It was me talking to people about supporting other women. I had one person follow and then two people. And then we had people talking about what an amazing place this was to build their own businesses and to find referrals for their clients. And it almost went viral overnight about what a good supportive group this was. We don't allow any negativity. There's no bashing. There's no one mortgage broker. I'm not the only lender in my group either. Yep. We allow for as many lenders as want to come in. Please share, post, tell us everything that you want to build and we'll help you. And we just became a resource for support.
How much business you say leads come out of this thing?
I would say at least 20 leads a month come from the moms group and the networking group, bare minimum. And those are groups, many times those are coming to me first, and then I'm handing them out to local referral partners and realtors so that I can prove myself to them. You know what I mean? We keep thinking that we are entitled to business. We are entitled to nothing in life. All we are entitled to is what we earn. So if you're not going out there and earning it and showing people that you are deserving of their referrals in their business and that you're going to take great care of these people, then you're not going to obtain them.
No doubt. So Jessica, I know there'll be and by the way, if you have questions for Jessica, we're going to bring all the 4 panelists back in at the end of this thing. So just load questions up, save it for the end. Because this is, go deep and wide. And plus you find Jessica on social and ask questions, right? Like let's collaborate. But I want you to open up a topic here on either the nonprofits you're engaged with or the VA stuff you're doing with, give us a little color into some other areas that you're playing.
So we can almost tie everything together. So we built this online group, okay? And it was beautiful and it was amazing. And then we started realizing a lot of people needed help and a lot of people had questions. A lot of women had questions. How do you build a business? How do you do this? How do you, get from point A to point B? The simplest things to maybe to me or to you, but others just venturing out into business didn't know. So the nonprofit that I'm primarily involved in is a nonprofit that I built, stemming from the need of women in this group, primarily during COVID, having a lot of people reach out and say, if I only had the ability to do this, I could achieve this. If I had the opportunity here, I could do this. So we wanted to take out the questions out of not having the ability. What do you need? You need some mentorship, because a lot of times that's all it's about. It's not just financial burden. It's emotional support, mental support. It's somebody calling you every day and saying, get your damn ass out of bed and let's do this. It's that I'm going to kick you in the pants every day if that's what you need. And I've done that. I had a woman all during COVID that at 6 o'clock every single morning, we had a phone call. I was like, that's it. Get up. Let's go. We're doing this. And she loved it and it has built her business and she was being supportive. So we built a nonprofit. It's called Grow, which means giving real opportunity to women. This year, we are hosting our first ever gala as well. So we're hosting a giant gala where we have 150 people. We only released the tickets 2 weeks ago. We've already sold half of the tickets. It's not until October. So we're super excited about that, but it's all about supporting other people. That's truly a passion of mine. And I realize when I'm going out there every day and doing something I love and that it feels good to me, then it really doesn't feel like work. And obtaining business from that just means I'm really lucky. And we kind of tie that into talk about the veteran community. My husband was in the military for 15 years. He served multiple tours. And really, I started getting into the VA loans because I would have people all the time saying to me, hey, I would love to know more. My realtors keep telling me it's not a good product. Everybody keeps saying it's not a good loan to use. Also, they needed support. So we would go and really just host like lunch and learns. We would offer support to people overseas, send care packages. We still do that to this day. And show support to our military the same way we did to our women, in the aspect that they needed it to be received, not that we needed to give it.
So in these stories, I hope everyone hears a couple things, Jessica, and I get to brag on you because it's hard to do on yourself, but everything you've done has been in service of other people. Whether it's the women's group, the veterans, the spouses, all that's done to educate people, get in front, connect, collaborate. How much of your business as a percentage comes from those efforts? Not from your realtors that are giving you reciprocation or business. How much of your business is coming from this world?
I would say, so currently probably 50%. Last year, probably 75.
Awesome.
So yeah, I mean, it's funny because I have a really good friend who, he'll probably see this, but he's a police officer, and every time he FaceTimes me, it's because he has a client next to him. He also knows that I'm going to make sure his clients his friends are taken care of. He's like, you have to call my friend. You can't use anybody else. When you start to really take care of other people, they want to take care of you. They want to return the favor. They know that no matter what, you're going to go to the end of the earth to make sure that they are happy, they are educated, they feel comfortable with the process. And that makes them want to send other people, because you know that the number one growing pain that we hear in this business is like, I didn't understand the process, or I was 100%. Confused.
100%. 100%.
If we can take all that out of the equation, people want to send clients. I've had realtors call me and say, I was told I have to work with you. And having somebody call you, who's generally a referral partner that you'd be chasing, and saying, I was told I have to work with you. I really want to, create a relationship here. There's no better feeling in the world. And when that comes from a client, I would say at least 90% of our referral sources are other past clients that we've worked with, or people that we couldn't help, but gave great advice to as to why they shouldn't be doing something currently, and why they should stay in their current situation.
Jessica, you're a fantastic example of how to go out and meet the people where they're at, and how to provide value and connection and community. So thank you for sharing some of those stories. That was super fun. You're obviously a huge inspiration. Anyone closing the amount of deals you're closing is working their tail off. So thanks for hanging out to the end for some Q&A. I hope you guys got a little bit of inspiration from her on what's possible out there in this world. Warren, thank you, dude. Good stuff. Yeah, this was killer. You're awesome, Jessica. So thank you very much for hanging.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Q&A. All right, my friends. So let's go ahead and bring up Sean. And before I do, actually, I'm just going to add you the screen, Sean. So one of my favorite stories, and I'll be quick on this because this is hysterical, but I do new hire orientation with a lot. So if you come to loanDepot, you get to look at my face. This guy walks in and, first of all, tall, fit, good looking guy. And he cruises in, and, most top producers, when they show up, they got their PA like right here. And Sean, you roll up and the dude next to you is rocking a camera. And I'm like, what is happening? And I remember just talking to you before you came, and you were such a forward thinker of, I've got to get on social. I've got to get on video. I've got to get in front of the consumer. And your journey's been amazing, and so, Sean, you closed, 241 units last year. You're an inspiration to tons of people. You found yourself onto YouTube, and I'm looking at your channel right now, and there's 4,500 subscribers, organic, unpaid for, and by bots. And I just love you to start with your story of let's start with the results, because I want people to get inspired. Like, what kind of business are you getting from YouTube, your social efforts, et cetera? And then let's go to the story of it all.
Big shout out to Jessica first. Holy smokes, I got to follow that.
Yeah, sorry, dude.
But, YouTube this year so far, we're probably averaging at least 30 or so plus leads a month. We started the year off a little slow. This month alone, I think we've already surpassed over 20 leads. So, it's starting to pick up again. YouTube can be a little finicky, but like you mentioned, everything that we're doing is organic. We're not paying for any ads. I spend no money on YouTube. So a lot of it is just trial and error and trying to figure out what our avatar and our intended audience wants to see from us.
So what made you get into social and go all in? What made you kind of wake up and be like, I've got to figure this out? And this was probably 2-3 years ago, pre-COVID. You know, what was on your heart there? What happened?
I think I kind of had the same sentiment as Jessica did, where I knew I was good at what I was doing, and that's not in a cocky way at all. But you know, every company we'd always do really well, whatever mortgage company I was at. But some of the realtors that we would partner with, I would never get all their business. There was always that disconnect of, hey, you know, even if you close a loan in 2 or 3 weeks, it still didn't warrant me getting all of their deals. So that always frustrated me. And then I just said, well, you know what? If I can beat the agent to the deal first, to the lead, then I control the process. I control the pre-approval. I control where they go. So I said, like you mentioned, about 3 years ago, I'm going to go all in on social media, started running Facebook ads, was generating a ton of leads. It didn't really pan out the way I wanted it to because of the nature of Facebook at the time and the quality. So I pivoted again and then decided to go on YouTube and didn't know anything about video. And I just said, look, this is, instead of me spending money on Zillow leads, on paying other realtors, CRMs and all that stuff, I'm just going to spend money on video and try to figure this thing out.
What was the journey like? I mean, because I remember, Sean, you put your hands in a lot of pots. You know, you kind of played with the podcast. You did some, you know, how did it all click, or what was the journey like for you? Like, you know, hitting the walls and feeling it's not really landing, and what was it like?
It was frustrating. It was tough. I mean, I used to shoot in my house, in my office, and I would make my girlfriend hold my laptop up, and I used to have a teleprompter.
Yes.
So she would hold it. I'd have my iPhone on tripod, and I try to shoot, and I always get so frustrated and mad at her because the timing of the words were off, and it was just a mess. It ended up in more arguments more than anything else, but a lot of it was on me. You know, I had to shoot the content. I had to come up with the idea. I had to be the one on camera.
Yep.
So really it held me accountable to really say, like, hey, if I'm going to do this, I can't get mad at anybody else. It's on me. I got to figure this thing out myself. So it was a long journey, you know, and even to this day, I mean, I have moments where it's hard, it's frustrating to shoot. And, but I know the power of what we're building, you know, every time we get in front of a camera and we shoot and we put out more content.
You know, you've said something in the past. I'd like you to elaborate. You know, on social media and, you know, YouTube and all this stuff, you get caught up in vanity metrics. How many likes am I getting? How many subscribers do I have? Why haven't I gone viral? And you've said some things that are really, you know, intelligent and wise about this, you know, but meaning something along the lines of, it's not about how many people you have and you're, you know, subscribing. It's how many people that, like, you know, call you for leads. Can you share some of that viewpoint for people that are kind of looking at social media and feeling like it's overwhelming?
Yeah, you know, I think we all get caught up in how many views and likes and, you know, comments and all that stuff that come in. So we always are chasing the wrong things. But I think as you start to build your brand and as you start to build a following and you have genuine conversations, whether it be in the DMs or someone calls you directly off of a video or something you put out, those conversations go so much deeper than you could probably even imagine. So then when you think about, hey, if I ran a Facebook ad and I got, let's say, 50 people to respond to an ad that I'm having, a lot of them are still tire kickers. A lot of them are just, you know, their guard is still up. And you're trying to essentially convert a cold lead. And yeah, there's some of us that are probably watching this that, you know, hey, we're really good on the phones, or we can really, you know, we can convert at a higher clip than most, which is great. But when you're building that brand and you're building a reputation online where people are following you and getting to know you and your personality, when they call you and you actually get them on the phone, I find out a lot of times the conversations I have, they're 30, 45 minutes, an hour long with these people because they've been watching me, you know, for a month, for a year, since the beginning of my journey, for some cases, which is kind of cool because I'm not privy to that information until I actually talk to them. Yeah. And I don't know who's watching until we actually get on the phone and, you know, they actually point out specific videos that I've done that, hey, you said this on a video. And honestly, I don't remember when I put the video out. So I was like, oh, yeah, okay.
You know, I remember, Sean, and I'll get to my last question here, but I remember hearing a story about a customer who called you and saying, you know, I've been watching all your videos about Vegas and I've been wanting to move to Vegas. And so can you hook me up with a loan? Can you hook me up with a realtor? Can we talk? And you sitting there thinking, like, I had no idea this guy was watching all my content. It's a great comment on the space. So my last question is, Sean, for somebody who maybe sees this and is intimidated, maybe thinks it's not for them. And I'm talking social, I'm talking video. And they're like, that's not for me. I got a face for radio, and you're sitting here like, what would you say to those people to give them a little encouragement or a kick in the pants?
I mean, I think if it's something that you're debating to do or thinking about it, whenever I feel myself in those situations, I think it's always something I feel like I have to go do it. If I'm even contemplating the idea, I think there's something that then says you should go try it to see what happens. So, come rain or snow, shine or anything, go out there, try it, give it a shot, because you don't know what's going to happen. And yes, you might think that, I'm not good on camera or I don't know what to say. I think all four of us on this panel would say the same thing. We all felt the same way when we started out, but you just have to keep going. And I think where the industry is going right now, with as tough as things are getting, you have to be willing to put yourself in uncomfortable situations, so that way you get stronger. It's like going to the gym. You don't want to hit the squat rack, but you should probably do it.
Yeah. Everyday leg day, dude. I appreciate you, Sean. we got some good questions queued up for you at the end. So thanks for hanging out to the end. You're the man, dude. Very inspirational. I love Sean and what he does. Makes an impact for sure. All right. Cindy Gordon's coming in, my friends. So Cindy, good to see you. Hi.
Hey.
Welcome. Man, you are a powerhouse. Cindy, it's great to have you on here. 215 closings, 74 million bucks. You do a great job. You inspire a lot of people, and you do things that I just want you to dive into because they're non-traditional. And what I mean by that is it's outside your realtor partnerships. It's things you do in your community to serve your people. And so I want to talk about local stuff you do, and I want to talk about the digital social stuff you do. So let's start with the local marketing stuff and the local service stuff. Give everybody kind of an idea of what you do to serve your community.
So I love throwing parties and getting people together. Like my goal is at least 50 people or above. If I'm going to do something, I really don't know how to do anything small. I kind of been like that my whole life. So traditionally every year I'll have I also run a branch, so I kind of bring everyone with me. So we'll do 2 client appreciation events a year. Usually it's the Red Sox opening day because I'm from Boston. I haven't been able to do that the last couple of years because obviously of COVID. And then I'll do a tailgate party like on a Thursday night somewhere. So we'll invite realtor partners, clients, just getting people together. We also do realtor education, but I know that that's not part of this. So the newest thing I've done was a beach cleanup. It was hands down my favorite event I've ever thrown. There was I think we had 90 RSVPs, and I want to say we ended up with 70 people. So I had t-shirts made. I did like trash picker-uppers. We went, and then we did a big party at the end, obviously, with food and music. We got so much attention from that. The restaurant owner on the beach, actually, that we didn't have the event after, he came up to Taylor, who is a girl I mentor right now, and is like, "You're having your after party here." So that was amazing. The real estate, like people feel good and, they're doing something good. And, then like Jessica said, they feel up, they're coming to your thing. They want to support you. That was my favorite thing. It was also a good team bonding thing because all my loan officers went too. So that will be on my docket forever.
I want to unpack this a little bit for people out there because I think serving your community and inviting others to come in and serve your community is an unbelievable way to drive business and relationships. Mm-hmm. And so, I love this idea. You decided I want to do a beach cleanup. So let's break it down. Like, did you go to the city and ask? Did you just go, I'm just going to do it and show up? No, I want the
like I was kind of in that ask for forgiveness if I got in trouble. So we did get permission to park after a certain time on the beach. It really was just, I wanted to do something different, think of other ways other than realtors, to bring in the business. So we just picked the beach because we're right here in Plymouth, which is obviously on the coast. And we just invited everyone under the sun. I asked my loan officers to kind of commit to getting a certain amount of people there. And then we all went and worked it and went out, cleaning up the trash. We were at the tables. So we all kind of worked together and it was amazing. So anything you can clean up, or people just like that kind of stuff, which is
And
great.
so you invited, of course, all the local realtors, past customers. Yep. And then had a party. So what other local events are you doing besides the beach cleanup or that you've done recently?
So this year I have, we're doing a can drive in November. So in that scenario, I'll be pulling people to come into the branch, which is obviously genius. We want everyone to know where we are. We're in a really centrally located place. So we're doing a can drive. We're going to include our clients, business partners. We'll be able to pick up stuff again, giving back. And then people like, wow, these loanDepot people are really, nice. So then they want to work with you.
Yeah, no,
You're a good human, Yep. And then in December, we're going to do a coat drive. So I try to have something for my loan officers or myself, because I produce as well, to kind of promote every other month with their realtor partners or they're just community clients. It's just an easy way to, do something a little different.
No, it's incredible, Cindy. It's so understated. You go out, you serve your community, you get, instead of walking into a realtor office or walking into open house and being like, you want my flyer or water bottles? You're like, hey, we're doing this kick-ass thing. Come clip. We're having a party. Come hang out. You build relationships with these people, and they get to know you, like you trust you, and and you're serving your community at the same time, building goodwill. I mean, I'm like, why isn't everyone doing this every 90 days? Like, just go do this. So I want to pivot a little bit too, because you're also rocking social media. You've used it for a long time for human connection in business. How does that partner with this, or what are you doing on social too? Let's dive into that for a minute.
So I got inspired by a woman in Canada, honestly. I was like, I'm really going to take this, game of the mortgage professional and bring it to the next level. So I started really focusing. I did my first photo shoot at the end of 2019. So since January 2020, I have been on it. I've been holding myself accountable for writing content that, is current, so that people, I'm writing something and then they actually call me because of that post. And, with social media, I feel like if you're not on it, it's a humongous miss. People always say like, oh, who does your social? I'm like, me, I write all the content. So,
me.
Social media, this is how I would tell a loan officer. And I've actually taught classes and my own brand, and my own loan officers. I keep a notebook next to my desk. And when I have something crazy, then I'm like, wow, I didn't know that. Or wow, I wonder if people know that. Or, just something out of the ordinary that comes. And then once a month, I carve out 6 to 8 hours, a whole entire day. And I write like 2 or 3 months of content, plan it out on a calendar. And then it's just like set it and forget it. But it's the referrals that I get from it are insane. Like they'll be like, oh, I have a failed septic. Cindy, you wrote this. Like Sean was saying, like, it's great when you get the direct referral, because it means it's working.
So I want everyone to hear this again. So I'm going to like double stamp Cindy's comment. You as a mortgage professional, you are solving problems all day long. You're
100%.
solving problems for humans all day long. Get that notebook exactly like Cindy has next to her desk and start writing down the problems you're solving, because if it's one person that has that problem, there's thousands around you that have the same problem. So Cindy, how much of your business today is coming from the connections you made at these events, the relationships, and from the social stuff you're doing?
I would say social media. And I've been in it this next year. I've also been in it 19 years, Alec. So that's funny. We got in the same year. I'd say at least 50% of my business is coming from this and from just social in general. And a humongous part of it is, again, what Jess and Sean were talking about. If I like a listing agent on the other side of one of my transactions, or if I'm like, wow, that person's on their game, I'll have them on a list, and the next organic lead that I get, I'll call them and say, hey, I have a client for you, but here's the deal. I expect you to give me business in return, but I'll give you the client first. I have like 2 of my top agents right now to this day are from a referral like that. They're like, what?
Yeah, I mean, it's the golden egg. It's the golden ticket to Willy Wonka's factory. It's like, look, will you partner with me? I love what you're doing, because you take yourself from a position that a lot of people want to put us in as lenders, as this vendor. You're a vendor to the agent, you blah blah, and you're all of a sudden now over here as a strategic partner.
Exactly.
Hey, baby, I'm driving business right with you, and I want to collaborate and share. I'm not just sitting there waiting for your phone call and a lead. So, Cindy, any advice you have for somebody new to social, new to events that would be helpful, that you think that would be helpful to them? I'm
happy to talk to anyone about events, because I definitely have those down. But social, I would just say, be you, be authentic, and find something that like you're passionate about, and don't try to be anybody else, because you're going to be the best at being you. So find topics that you're knowledgeable about, go on, be comfortable with it, and just, stay in your own lane. That's kind of what I would say. Take inspo, but ultimately be you.
Well, Cindy, you're awesome. You're inspiration. Thank you for hanging with us today. We'll bring you back at the end for the questions that everyone has and queuing up, but you're awesome. We already have some questions I see in there. So thanks for hanging with us today. We'll see you in a little bit. All right, my friends, Scott Snap is next. And as I bring him on the screen, I just did a podcast with Scott. I encourage you to check it out. So it's fun to have him back up here. Scott is what we call a monster, absolute force of nature. You don't close 835 closings in a year unless you are absolutely one of the best in the market and in the business. And so, Scott, good to see you again, buddy. Thank you, by the way, for carving time.
Hey, good to be back.
Dude, I want to start here, and it's one of my favorite stories you told in the podcast, but I want you to relive it a little bit. You know, I want to go back to young Scott Snap, hustling in the streets, out there trying to find agents, trying to hustle, and realizing that you needed to bring some buyers to the table to start getting some value, to start breaking in some doors. And there was that one lady that said she would never work with you. What was her name again? Or that said, I will never work with you. And you just kept on her and on her forever.
Yep. Came back once a week. And she, nope, never gonna do business with you. I'm all set with my lenders. And I'd say, great, I'll see you next week. And that was, eventually we got in. But one of the things back then that, and I was telling somebody the story the other day that I used to do, and we talked about it in the podcast because I got into the business, and how do I get business? But I came from a sales background. I ran a sales route. So I just brought that into the business, and I ran a sales route. So the realtors knew every Tuesday I'm in this town, I'm going to stop in. But the other thing I did during that period was I created some routines, I guess, where, every morning if I needed gas, I filled up here. I got my cup of coffee here. And, if you've ever gone in, because I lived an hour away from my office back then. So it was an hour drive one way, so every day I stopped, got my coffee because I'm addicted to coffee, as most of us are in this business. And I'd stop and get my coffee, and you enter in, it's, 7 a.m. you walk into the place, and most of these guys are, they're on their way to their job.
Yep.
To see their boss, which is an acronym for, jerk. And most of the time, and most of them are not in the best mood. Right. And, you walk in and, you love what you do. So, I'm fired up, I'm coming in there, I'm in a good mood, and people are looking at me like I'm insane, and eventually you do that enough. And if the people working there would ask you, what do you do? Why are you so just fired up all the time? Man, I'm glad you asked. I deliver the American dream. And next thing you get to talking to him a little bit, and it always, my mentor in the business always blew his mind. I would come in with an application back then, written out on a napkin that I took from the guy who managed the 7-Eleven or whatever it was on the way there. I'd start to eat lunch at the same places, and just doing that and entering, you started to know the customers. And again, you got to be the most fired up guy in the room because, misery loves company. Life kicked the most people in the teeth that day, and you've got to be the guy that brings that energy into the room. And then eventually they're asking you, what do you do? And the next thing you know, you're bringing customers from that place in, and you've got approved customers, an abundance to pass out then.
So how do you get customers to give to realtors? Let's go right to the question everyone wants to know. How do you do this? How did you do this? How do you do it now?
The easiest way to do that now, and guys, this isn't rocket science. I'm telling you, this is so simple. And most people don't do it. And I go to some closings, and I've sat outside closings of other loan officers when I'm waiting for mine to start. And I'm amazed how many times they don't do it. Ask for referrals. It's just really that simple. Okay. I mean, it's amazing.
I know. But hold on. So you go to all your closings typically.
Yes.
Most loan officers don't do. And if you're closing over 800 units and going to your closings, you're a man of the streets.
Mm-hmm.
So when you say ask for referrals, let's get real specific. What are you saying? How are you asking? When are you asking? And what kind of success rate do you find?
So I'll give you an example. What just happened this week. And it was funny because right before closing, they had their final walkthrough. The agent called me and she says, hey, I just want to give you a heads up. There was, this may not be a very happy closing because there was a little bit of tension between buyer and seller. But I got there and they're fine. And, we had a few jokes. They loosened up. And, by the time they're done, they're happy. Of course, I get my closing picture. Anybody that's followed me on social media knows there's me and the customer and the key, right? So that I can do what? Promote the realtor.
Yep.
And promote the title company that I did that was involved in the transaction. And immediately as they got up and talked about, the story they told was that her brother was actually a loan officer somewhere. And the last time they did a loan with him, it was not his fault, but the process was a little bit bumpy. So I said, how was this one? Was this, this was pretty smooth for you then? Oh, this was the smoothest thing ever. So you guys are pretty happy. Just ask them, yeah. Will you do me a favor? And then just shut up until they went, yeah. When you guys go back to work today, would you do me a favor and just pass my card out to a couple of your coworkers that are possibly thinking about buying a house? Literally just said it just like that. They're like, yeah, give me some cards. They're happy. They're going to go pass those cards out. And you'll get business from that. That's the first thing we ask when someone calls in. How'd you get our name? Hey, you just closed a loan for, so-and-so that I work with, and they sent them over.
So how much business?
It's so simple, but it works.
How much business do you actually get from this? Like, can you have a way to qualify it? Like,
yeah,
I'm
going to say just from the referrals alone is probably 35 to 40% of my business. It's just that much. I mean, now the thing that sometimes gets frustrating for my processors and stuff is when we've got 10 customers with the name, Johnson in there, at the same time, right? She's like, what is going on? They got 6 brothers and 4 sisters. We're doing all their loans. They sent them all over,
So I just want everyone to hear this, please. Our business is hard, but it's not complicated. Okay. Scott is literally going to closings, hugging his customers, asking them how they're doing, asking them if they're happy, and then asking for a favor. I mean, you just heard him say it. There's no magic script. There's no magic pill. Can I have a favor? Yes, you can. When you go back to your office today, can you hand out a couple of my cards to people that might be looking for a home that you might think, that's it. And through that, you just heard him 35% at the small, maybe even 40% of his business is coming back to him from that effort. So if you want to grow your business by 30 to 40% right now, just implement what Scott's talking about. That's it. Okay, Scott, there's got to be some other little strategies and tactics to your success. Apart from that, I want to hear some stories. I want you to share some stuff about you're doing to drive the kind of volume you're doing.
So I don't know when it was, but a while back in my career, I was looking to spend some money, advertise for myself, and I had all these crazy ideas and
billboards, baby.
Yeah, let's do it. Billboards, right? Everybody wants billboards. And whoever the manager at that time that I had at a prior company, he said, it's your business. You invest in you, and that stuck with me. And, people say to me today, they go, well, it's real easy to do what you're doing now because you closed 836 units. But
yeah, you
got to start doing it, when you're closing 10 units, you start small, and it can be something simple. Get yourself out in the community and do it. The first thing that I started doing was sponsoring youth sports teams,
Yeah.
My kids were very involved in fast pitch softball, so it was real simple. It was an easy thing. I'm going to be there anyway. So the shirt said loanDepot, all the teams had loanDepot on the shirts, and, I'm sponsoring it and I'm showing up at the events, and I'm walking around there, not only do the shirts say it, but there's a banner on the field. It doesn't cost a lot of money to do that. I think I spent $300 and put t-shirts on like 10 teams.
Yep.
And, there's 10 kids there, and sometimes it's multiple. You got, how many families off of that are seeing that we're picking this stuff up. From there, it grew to, hey, I learned it, man, some of these folks, buying that bat or whatever they need can sometimes be a little pricey depending on their situation. So I started buying bats and doing like hey, loanDepot will cover you, as the sponsor, and passing out bats. It blossomed from there. It grew into other sports teams that I started sponsoring. I went from softball to baseball to last year I did a travel basketball team for kids here. I just went up to the coach and I said, hey, you ever had a sponsor? No, well, you do now. And he goes, well, what's that look like? Because I'd overheard a conversation with some of the parents out in the hall talking about how pricey it is to pay for these tournaments and do all the things they're doing. I said, I'll cover all your tournaments covered by loanDepot. Let your parents know. And 3 of those parents did loans with me.
Just hold on a second, dude. We got to have a moment, because we're talking about marketing. Mm-hmm. We're talking about driving attention. We're talking about getting leads, right? When you think of marketing spend, you're like, how do I get leads? Get me on the billboard, put me on a shopping cart ad, and all the BS we see out there. And what Scott's explaining is if you just take the same amount of money and the same kind of mindset, and instead you spend it to serve your community, to provide things they need, with no strings attached. Just, I'm not giving you this so that you can, use me for loans. You're not manipulating people. You're just there to be a great human being. And holy crap, guess what? People want to work with you.
Yes, we did. Last year I did something at the local high school, did a sponsor for them. They put in a new big fancy scoreboard that actually has a TV screen. Yeah. So we actually ran commercials. And every time there was a timeout, the timeout was sponsored by the Closed and Snap mortgage team at loanDepot. And somebody said to me, did you get anything out of that at all? And I did. And I know this because I had a guy come into my door he said, listen, your card was given to me, and I was deciding between going with you and Company X over here. And my son plays football at high school, and I'm out there Friday night, the first game. And man, you really gave back. He goes, it was everywhere. They were passing out loanDepot footballs. Anybody that does that, I'm done. You got my business, man. And simple investment, you know. We got so far. We are now the Closing a Snap team's the official sponsor of all the athletics at Bowling Green State University. So anything you go to there's got my guys' faces on it, and which is really cool.
Well, dude, first of all, I love that you just focus on the basics and remind everybody that we don't have to overcomplicate things. While there is amazing power in what Sean's doing with video and YouTube, there's also amazing power in real human connection and serving your local community, whether you're cleaning up a beach, whether you're sponsoring a baseball team. This is the stuff that the mega brands don't understand, or it's a different channel than what their angles are. The Super Bowl commercials are great. They're funny. They bring attention. But all of a sudden, somebody who's serving their community like you're doing, Scott, whose card passed this guy, probably from referral, who's seen you on the basketball, thing, supporting his son, they're going to work with you all day long. And again, it just takes intention. It doesn't take a master of marketing to go in there and figure this out. It just takes some thought. So, bro, thank you for landing the ship there. That was rad. Super rad.
Absolutely.
All right, everybody, we're going to get some Q&A going on here. So I'm going to bring on the squad. First of all, there's 200 plus people hanging out with us today. So thank you. This is super fun. Let's go ahead and start bringing on everybody here and getting organized. Just gone. Boom. Hey, everybody. Oh, and then we got dogs because we got human life happening, Jessica. It's all good. I heard the dog in the background. So thank you, guys. I got some questions queued up. First of all, lots of Josh was coming in. Love your approach. Yeah, it's just good stuff. So here's my first question, and I'm going to go to Sean on this one because it came through a couple times. And I think there's a barrier or a misconception about this, but the question really is revolved around editing videos. I know Cindy, Jessica, you guys do a lot of videos too. You can share your thoughts on this, but editing videos on social, and I think here's the misconception. The question was, who do you use to edit your videos? But I'm going to go like one layer under that question, which is, do you need to be editing your videos? Do you need to pay professional editors to edit videos? What effect is that? How important is that? And share some of your thoughts on your journey so far, Sean.
I think it just depends on what platform you're going after. So if you're going to be doing short form content, whether it's YouTube Shorts, TikTok, Reels, even Facebook has Reels too, you don't need an editor for that. You could literally figure it out on your own. And what's funny is I have a team that helps me do a lot of my content, but I said, hey, let me see if I can just do this myself. And I did a Reel this past weekend, threw it up. I didn't really have any like rhyme or reason to it. And we got 3,400 views in about a day. So you don't need an editor. I think a lot of people chase that down. If you want one, you could definitely find one online. There's a lot of guys that are, doing that type of business these days, but you don't necessarily need one.
Cindy, Jessica, will you add anything on that?
I just shoot my videos right on my phone. I don't edit. I am unedited. For now.
For now.
I really don't do as much video as I probably should, but sometimes I feel the need to go out and make sure that I'm educating people on certain things. And that's when I do put out content, but I don't edit anything. I think for me, it's just better for it to be like raw and real and kind of in the moment. So I just throw it up. I'm not the best person to ask for that because that's my preference. But I also definitely called Sean when I started doing videos and made him answer all of the questions for me, which he happily did. Because if nobody is following Sean right now, you absolutely should be. His information is incredible. He should talk to you guys a little bit about evergreen content, because let me tell you, him talking to me about that changed everything I thought about what videos to put out. And it made all the difference in the world. And I think I took 5 pages of notes from Sean. So he's the guy that I got all my intel from.
There. Okay. So I want to come back to social because there's a couple more questions on this. But events, the question is, are you using like Eventbrite? What's the tool for events? And so I'd love for someone to dive in and talk about how you're coordinating events for people.
I'll jump into this one. I do a 6-week leeway. So I always start 6 weeks before. I'll give the team the flyer, and we do a lot of follow-ups, but we do Eventbrite, and we'll do the Facebook groups. You can create events in Facebook. You can either have your, do co-hosts if you're doing with different people. And then we'll just like put everyone in Eventbrite. Eventbrite's awesome because it sends the people reminders to come to your event, just in case you don't do a good job at reminding them.
Love it.
Also, depending on the type of event, a lot of times we'll do it through Eventbrite. I will put out like a $5 charge for the event that's 100% donated to a nonprofit of the choice of the attendees. Even charging $5 puts skin in the game, and it makes people want to show up. But we're not profiting off of this. They know that it's going to a good cause, and they all get to put their name in the hat as to where it goes out to. So it makes a big difference. And we've noticed that doing it that way has allowed us to have a lot more attendees, and people feel good about doing something good too. So even if they know they're contributing, $100 to a nonprofit, that makes a difference to them.
So this next question I want to start with for you, Cindy, even though it was asked to Sean, but I'm not talking to Sean anymore. He's good. But the question is, and Sean, you can weigh in on this too, is how do you set yourself apart on social media with all the noise? And, you said a comment about being yourself, which I think is really the core of the answer to this, but I want to hear your thoughts on how you'd answer that.
Like what kind of noise? Like noise about?
Just it's busy. Social media is busy. There's a million lenders on there. There's lots of people making videos is the assumption.
Yeah. So basically I have like a method that I do. I take, what do I want to put out there? Who do I want to reach? I don't really pay attention. I really don't pay attention to anybody else like in that way. Like I'm kind of in my own lane. So I'll do my social is 50% education because I'm a resource and I want to educate people. Then I'll do like a certain percentage of community, family, because I want people to know that I am a human. I just think sticking to what you know and realizing that you're the resource, like write your content, then go look around. Like I think if you're a loan officer, you know what you're doing, especially if you've been in the industry, the amount of time most of us probably have been, you have a lot of knowledge. So share it. I don't know, Alec. I don't see people as a competition. I just think everyone has their own kind of swag,
Yep. Sean, how would you answer that question?
Same thing. I mean, I don't really follow a lot of other loan officers, and that's no disrespect to anybody. I follow most of loanDepot people, but I think to Cindy's point and, Jessica and Scott, I think the one thing we all do is we stay in our lane. We kind of embrace our own personalities of how we go about our business. We don't let other people deter from what we need to accomplish. And, whether we've been doing it 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, it all takes time, but at the end of the day, as you start to do more activities, as you start to do more content or events or sponsoring more things, you start to figure out what works. You start to figure out what you like, and you gravitate towards that. And it's just trial and error, really.
Yeah. Scott, question for you, and then anyone else can dive in on this thing. One of the things that I'm always surprised by, even though I shouldn't be, is just the power of consistency. And you made a comment earlier in this conversation about how you kind of had a milk run, I'll call it, where, you were just, I'll see you next week. And you were just, on it. And that's a superpower when we're staring at screens all day. And this is not to diminish the efforts of social and the screens. Those things are the humans are there. We should be playing there. And we'll ask more questions about it too. But one of the things that separates us from a pure online digital lender is the fact that, hell, I can show up at your office. I can show up right here and bump into you. Talk a little bit about your milk run, or what made you stick to that consistency and the effect you think it had on your career.
It was something I had done in my past career. So I already knew, I think the first thing you got to realize is that no doesn't hurt. So get over that. Okay. And you are going to hear some no's. But at the same time there, I wasn't the only one that was stopping in, but I was the only one that kept coming back. And, because most people think no hurts, and they went in and they got 4 or 5 realtors in there, said, no. And that was the end. They didn't want to go back because that was painful. Right. And so I'm not going back there. That hurt. And, and I'm going, yeah, it's fine. I don't care. No, doesn't hurt me. So I'll come back. And finally you got one yes. And all I need is one yes. So I knew if I could get one yes and one realtor to give me a shot, I would earn the rest just by word of mouth, the way by the service. So and it takes time, but you just got to be there every week.
So I mean, when you say be there every week, I just want to go one more deeper on that to its degree. I mean, people get busy. You get loans. I mean, when you say every week, you mean every week? Like, what was it like for you? Like,
so I literally would go. I don't remember the specific day I was where, but I was in this town on every Thursday, and they just knew it. I was in this town every Tuesday, and that's just how it was. And what back then when I started, we didn't have social media, so I didn't even have that. I didn't have that option. You guys, I started in '97, right? So we didn't have social media. Internet was the AOL dial-up. You heard the little ting ting ting, and took forever to get online. I could get to their office faster than I could dial in, right? So I would just go to their office, and that's just what we did, and that's how I built it right there.
Yeah, I just want to encourage everybody that's a local professional mortgage guy and gal. You cannot, you have to leverage every tool in your belt, especially in this market. And that includes digital, and then it definitely includes physical local. I hope you've heard the theme on that throughout this. And so, Jessica, I have one question for you. One of the things that stood out to me in our conversation earlier and before about what you've done on your Facebook groups and the connecting with women is the abundance mindset you have. You mentioned you have other lenders in there, you have other, competitors in there. Talk about that, because I could see somebody wanting to be like, no, I'll be the only lender and I'll lock everyone in. And you just said, no, let's all play. How does that, how did that work?
It's funny, actually, when I first got into this business, the first thing I did was reach out to a whole bunch of other lenders from other companies. And I wanted to know what they were doing, what they had to offer, what was beneficial. And they were all like shocked when I asked for a coffee date, because I was a brand new loan officer. I wasn't looking to recruit them. I wasn't looking to bring them on. I really just wanted to share. And also what I learned in that was that we all offer different products. We all have different knowledge. We all have different experiences, and we can share from that. Currently, I actually have a monthly call. A couple of them were messaging me already, with other lenders from other companies, where we get on once a month, we share ideas, we talk about building, we talk about the struggles, we talk about the products, and we send business back and forth. And we constantly hear somebody say to us, look how many realtors are out there. I'm not going to get my real estate license. Look how many lenders are out there. And my response is always the same, is that the cream rises to the top. If you're willing to work hard and you're willing to go out there and stay consistent, like Scott said, which is, by the way, the number one thing that's going to drive your business, and actually know that there's opportunity at every corner and do whatever it takes to get there, then you have the opportunity to build whatever business you want. We are so lucky that we are in one of the only businesses that you truly do set your salary. You get to make whatever you want. And I keep hearing people talk about this year how, they kind of took a rest because they worked so hard the last 2 years. This is when you need to be working harder than ever. This is the shift. This is what's going to differentiate you from the other people and the 33% of loan officers that are projected to not be in this business at the end of the year. So you can rest, and the rest of us are going to run circles around you. And I feel bad. But at the end of the day, you're seeing people talk about how Sean's doing a video every day. Cindy's staying consistent with her events. Scott's out there still showing up, handing out bats. And you're going to call them in December and ask them how their year was, and they're going to say freaking awesome.
So final question here that we can go around the horn on. Elizabeth on YouTube is asking it. Content. How do you come up with content? And it's a great question because we get it all this week. This question, I hear this question all the time. So I want to start with you, Sean, and then we'll open it up to anybody else that wants to dive in. But how do you come up with what to say on the internet?
I've given my team kind of the same advice like Cindy. Keep a notepad by your desk. Debrief after the conversations you have with your leads or your agents, because all the conversations that keep coming up over and over and over again, that's the stuff you need to talk about. Don't overcomplicate your side of the industry. I know there's probably realtors on this too. Think about the basics. How many times you have to explain to a client what earnest money deposit is. That's a video. That's content. So don't complicate it. Keep it simple. And you can get technical. You can look at Google Trends. You can look up things on YouTube and just kind of see, what people are searching for, what's popular, if you really want to kind of get really nerdy about it. But, you can keep it very, very basic in the beginning just to kind of get going. So that's one less hurdle you have to say, why you're not doing content.
Cindy, Jessica, Scott, any thoughts for you all?
I'm the same way. I just write down some of the stuff that comes up quite consistently from the customers, because a lot of times the things that we assume they know, because we do it every day, it's routine to us.
Yes.
We know what earnest money is. We understand what the appraisal is. We know the difference between appraisal and inspection, but if they're a first-time home buyer, it's the first time they've heard the word appraisal. They don't know. There's a video. Just keep it simple.
I pre-plan nothing because I'm an avid overthinker. And if you ask me to pre-plan something, yes, I will put out nothing. I will watch it 100 times. So no, I am spur of the moment, throwing it out there, recording it once, it's going up, and I'm never watching it.
Sean, Cynthia's wanting more definitions of evergreen content. I think that's a great question. Can you give the download on what evergreen content means?
Yeah, so evergreen content is essentially something that, like it sounds, it's evergreen. It's never going to get old. So you can do something, the 7 steps to buying a home. That will live forever. It's not going to change. You can keep something. You can eliminate dates and time references. So that way, if it's on YouTube, it'll always continue to play and it's always relevant. You can change things here and there, but essentially it's a topic that you shoot once and you should never have to shoot it again.
Great. And then even Scott coming out of the left field here says, if you Google most asked mortgage questions equals content. I'll share my viewpoint on this. There's so much to talk about. You have so much tribal knowledge in your brain as a mortgage professional that you've gathered over the years that the normal person who's buying a home, their first home or their second, just doesn't know. They just don't know. And you get the sense to kind of just share all these nuances over and over again. So closing comment, everybody. First of all, for those 200 plus people that have hung with us for an hour, you guys are awesome. I guess we need to do more of these modern lending masterminds publicly, because I'm hoping even myself took a ton of value from you all. From Jessica, Scott, Sean, Cindy, thank you for hanging, sharing your insight and wisdom. And for those of you that are hanging out with us, if you got a question, we're all on social right now. So just ask, connect. This year is going to be tough, but it's going to be worth it. This year is going to be incredible for all of us that make it through, that earn what's been going on, that really put ourselves out there. So my biggest encouragement from what you've heard from all these people is now is the time to put yourself out there. Now is the time to master new skills, to get on video, to get uncomfortable, to go pull people together in your local community and do events that serve, to go out and get off the billboards and get down into the dirt with people and provide baseball bats or sponsorships or support to the people that you hang out with every day. I think I got a lot of inspiration from you all on these different opportunities, but the biggest thing I think we can all hear is there's an amazing opportunity for you individually in your market to get after it in a multitude of ways. Not one person on here said, here's the one way to do this. And everyone was like, yep, that's the one thing. Every single person you heard today has a unique approach to their market that is personally tied to their heart and soul, and it drives their business. So you have the same opportunity. So get out there, get public, get uncomfortable, and kick some butt. And thank you all for joining us today. I hope you guys have a wonderful day. Scott, Sean, Cindy, Jessica, you guys rock.
Thanks, guys.
See you, everybody. We'll see you on the internet. Take care.
Bye.